a priest's daughter also married unto a stranger. So you're saying, are you saying in that, is it saying in that verse that she can actually, the priest's daughter can actually marry a stranger?
Well, she shouldn't, because that's what stranger is that?
That's 21:14.
And that's what?
Well, that's a bad guy. That's one that was not so. That's one that was not sojourning among. He might be living outside somewhere else, but he actually comes in to work back and forth to do whatever. So if she, I guess, what goes against what her father said to go out and marry this guy anyway, then it says she's not able to eat of an offering of set apart things.
Right, because ask yourself, let's say if she wasn't married to that stranger, or Zor, would that Zor be able to eat of it?
No.
So when a woman was, because think about it, the daughters of Israel, if they have a father living, where's their inheritance?
Father.
Amongst her father's house, amongst
Right.
her father.
Right.
So if she, not in her father's house, she marries a stranger, there's no difference between her and that stranger. She has become what her husband is. So her status and position is the same as her ish.
Right.
You got someone at work?
Oh, no,
Couldn't that stranger mean also somebody of Israel descent, but just not following Torah?
Yeah, because they were Israel descent and not follow Torah, they wouldn't be in the land.
Right.
But wasn't there a lot of Israelites that were not really following Torah, and that's what got us in this place?
That's what I'm saying.
After this time.
They wouldn't be in the land, neither would us be in the land.
Right. The 2/3. They're gonna
Yeah.
go to death.
Because you know, when it comes to the laws, if you were in Israel, see, let me tell you how the scriptures work. They don't focus on a lot of so much detailed stuff. If you were in the land and unruly, you were put to death. It just don't focus on that, but that's just the law. That's just like a disobedient son or who won't hear his parents or won't hear his father. He only gets about 2 or 3 times to do that. And then what happens? They take him outside. Next thing you know, they got rocks going upside his head. He put a grab out his hair. I mean, because they stoned him.
So my question is, you have the stranger 1616, and then you have the other strangers. What is the difference between those other strangers in relation to them? Because you have the 21:14, you have the 84:53. What is the difference between those?
They don't submit and subject to the Torah.
So there's only two really. It's either you are following or you're not. So you're either a 1616 or you're just the other. So why would they make a separation between the different others? You understand what I'm saying?
Because, I mean, positions, because some of them are what? You got to realize they're all servants. All the strangers are servants. I don't care which one it is, 16, 21:14, all of them. But you got one who submits and subjects himself unto Yahuah and Torah, so he what? He can dwell amongst Israel in their land.
Right. But my question is, what is the difference between the other ones? Why do they make a difference?
Their lifestyles. Remember when we went up and it said some of the strangers idolatrous, adulterous, profane. So when you look at each one of the strangers, it'll give you a description of why this particular stranger under this number. That's what last week what I did. We read through those things to show why this stranger with this number. What was it about this particular stranger?
You know, that's actually, I'm glad you did this study. When you were down in, I mean, when we were back in the land, then they would not have said, in the original writings would not have been stranger, okay, that's an English word, each one of those people would have had a different name, which we see it in Hebrew, and they would have, when they were reading it, they would have said that particular name. They would not have said stranger. It had a different meaning to it. And I think, like just as he said before, we lose something when we translate it into the English. And that's why everybody's going around thinking that's all of these strangers are saying.
Right, because you see a lot of teachers on YouTube from these different camps, and they want to categorize all the strangers as one group of people. Anybody outside of Israel, all of these things apply to just fall under strangers in general, not just differentiating with strangers. So that's why I said I'm going to do this lesson on strangers. Let's differentiate and see which strangers are these things happening to. Because you're going to see it's one stranger who's in a favorable position, who dwells and lives amongst Israel. But all the other strangers, it's not so good for them. And we hadn't even gotten into the punishments and different stuff which is going to take place with all of these other strangers. And see their position. How he talks about how that he's going to cut them off. And how he shall utterly destroy. So you think that would be planned for 1616? But we can find out who they apply to.
Boy, you got two questions from the online. One's from PZKO. So what if you are invited to a holiday party by a stranger? Do you CXL and tell them why, or do you go and witness?
You don't go, because I'll tell you why. A lot of times Israelites have got into a situation where at these pagan holiday times, they get invited by family and friends. And their concept is, even though I don't celebrate it, I can take it as an opportunity to witness. But most of the time, you don't get that opportunity to what? To witness. Next thing you know, you there, you eat turkey, you eat dressing, sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie. And so what happens is, that'll become habit. So every year, you're still at these gatherings, and they can't what? They can't see the difference of what you're doing and what they're doing. Okay, you say you don't celebrate these things, but every year, you're here, you eat with us. I'll say, I tried that one time, but I was successful. I got a chance to witness, and I was never invited back in. Matter of fact, my mom, you know that little belt loop in the back of your pants? She had me by it, with one arm up. I was on my tiptoes. She put me out of the house. And I told her I'd keep that ham off the table. And you know how that Thanksgiving turned out. Because, this is what I'm saying. If you're going to witness. But if you see after that first time, most times you don't get that opportunity. And so it basically explains to them then, witness in, tell them, no, I'm not coming, and this is why. Because it never turned into a situation where you can actually witness. And they say, year after year, you're going to Christmas dinner, you're going to Thanksgiving dinner, and you go with the same, mindset. You might get the opportunity to witness. But you're sitting in there amongst them, and you see this big old Christmas tree with all these balls on it and everything. And so it's just kind of like you're in agreement with it.
Mm-hmm. Because even in that case, the majority of the time, people don't want to hear that anyway when they're in.
Right.
Thank you.
They don't want to hear you correcting them while they Christmas tree up or they carving some Thanksgiving turkey. They don't want to hear it.
Exactly. You're right.
It's not a time and place for that.
Right. It's a time and place for everything, and the scripture tell you that. Exactly. So,
Yeah, I did that.
Done in vain.
Like 1 or 2 times, I said, you know what? I don't need to fool myself. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to say anything about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And most times it leads to a huge argument or something. And it's easier to win a walled city than an offended brother.
Yep.
So let me witness to you outside of this.
Exactly.
I don't need you to go and engage, so I don't even show up. Matter of fact, my mom don't even call me with that mess. just gonna explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
So nah, we might as well just stop doing it. Ain't no witnesses.
Another question, this is a different person named Yahuah. Who does this stranger apply to? H5237 Naraki.
It's the same come from, what's that other one we had?
2114,
Yeah,
Zor.
but it's another one, Nikar.
The car.
And what was that number on that one?
5237.
That was in Exodus 12:43.
That was, is that 5236 or something?
Let me open up my scroll. Exodus what now?
1243.
12:43.
And I got one, another question
5236.
by the same person or after this.
Okay.
They said 5237?
Yeah, H5237.
There is a 5237.
5236.
5237.
There is a 5237.
34. And
Read yours out.
huh?
Read yours.
Alright. 5236 is Nikar or Nikor, correct? Consecrately, a foreigner, abstractly, heathendom, alien, stranger. But that also goes to, it comes from 5234, which is Nokar, the root, probably to scrutinize, that is, look, to intensely enhance with recognition, imply to acknowledge, revere, suspicion, discard, ignore, be strange, reject, dissimulate, ignorant, or as if ignorant. Strange, vain. Yeah.
Right, so that's what I said, when we read these definitions, it explains to you which stranger this is and why.
Right.
When you come across heathendom, you automatically know. When he told you don't do as the heathens do, but what he said, for the heathen run into the forest, they chopping down a tree,
Mm-hmm.
and they what?
They fastened with
Fasten so that it not be removed, they deck it in what?
Silver and gold.
Silver and gold.
Give Santa Claus milk and cookies.
Right, so when you see these things, that automatically points you back to what? What made these people heathens?
They follow
Their customs.
Yeah, their custom, most times their custom what? They were idols or idolatry.
Right.
But that's another one of them strong ones. It is, I'm trying to find this, nakari, it's the actual word that they're asking about. You got a word?
No, I
Okay.
don't understand.
You mean 5237?
Oh, you got a quote? Or read yours.
Okay, let me get back here. Nakari, it means alien, foreigner, outlandish, strange.
Start right there. Alien, foreigner, outlandish, strange,
Woman,
or a strange woman.
ground driver, fit.
Okay, bro.
Is foreign, alien, foreigner, foreign woman, harlot.
Or what?
Harlot.
Harlot.
And then the next one is unknown or unfamiliar.
Okay, and so now we see,
Maybe we should have this board up.
yeah.
And I said that earlier, and you said you don't need it.
You don't need it.
Oh, no.
These evil words that I'm conscious.
Would they be able to see it, Mark?
I would need to put 4 chairs up there. That's
Because we're not recording on it.
Well, I know.
Oh, okay, oh, they
yeah,
can see
yeah,
it.
we still record.
Oh, I'm still going.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Solomon could just hold it up on the table and let it rest on the table. I'm for real.
Yeah. Handsome model, go ahead, bro. Look at your daddy. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, definitely, I got it.
Yeah, because I can get it.
I'm gonna zoom in and all of that. Okay.
Thank God.
So not to read, it's 52:37. So when she read it, it said what? Strange? Then it said outlandish,
Yeah.
harlot,
Mhm.
strange woman,
Foreigner.
foreigner. So when he tells Yashra'al, even with these strange woman, what happened with the nation of Yashra'al when they married these strange women?
You turned them away from the Torah.
It turned them away from Yahuah, Torah. And in what way did it turn them away from?
They started worshiping other idols.
They start worshiping other deities, other Elohims. And I think we read one scripture in here earlier about, or was it last week?
It was last week.
It was last week about marrying strange women. Is there another question?
Yes, he has, his next question is, what do you say when Christians try to justify holidays by Romans 13 and 7?
Okay, let's read Romans 13:7.
You want me to read it? You can read it.
Yes, you will read.
Render therefore to all their duty, all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor.
Okay.
That's it?
I mean,
what were you finna say?
So what are they saying that,
He says, hold on, let me get back to it. He said, what do you say when Christians try to use that scripture to
to
justify
justify
holidays?
holidays?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, with me, when a Christian, see, my thing is, when a Christian try to use something like this to justify holidays, the first thing we have to do is go back to our foundation. What would our foundation say? Because no matter, often you have to explain to Christians, during the time of the Tabernaeans or disciples, during the time of Mashiyach, there was no such thing as a New Testament. There was no such thing as a Bible. Matter of fact, there was no such thing as a Bible. So, first of all, let's go back to the foundation. What is the foundation of all the scripture we read? It's the Torah. Let's go see what the Torah says about these things. So then, moving forward, why and what are we speaking of here?
But then,
Well,
go ahead.
I'm gonna get it, because you got a question that
No,
might.
because if they're trying to use this to justify Christmas, I mean, so what they're saying as far as about the dues and the tributes and stuff like that, like give tributes or whatever.
I would assume that's what.
Because this right here, we have to remember that this was written in Greek. So if we're gonna go to the Hebrew, we gotta actually go into the Greek. And this right here is talking about like far as taxing and stuff like that. Like render unto Caesar what is Caesar and stuff, so that tribute, when you look at it, it's talking about taxes.
Right.
So this is not, this don't have nothing to do with that.
And when you talk about
looking at that custom.
you're looking at the custom. Even with that,
Well, he's saying that, he said custom to custom, does that mean don't hinder them or talk against, but we do not partake? That's what you just said right
Right, you know, we wouldn't partake, but the thing is, we have to realize what's going on in that time. You have Rome occupying Jerusalem. So there was a lot of things they were forced to do at that time. Do you remember we read about the temple tax previously or earlier? This was something that they were forced to do. Even when there were certain customs that they were forced to acknowledge or partake. But at this time, there's nobody with a gun to our head saying you better celebrate Christmas. There's nobody with a gun to your head saying you got to celebrate Thanksgiving. Or you got to do that stuff. You have a choice now. So whether they're Christian or not, I have a job as a follower of Yahuah or a follower of the way to what? To enlighten you. That's my duty, to shed light or bring light. Not shy away from it because you have a misunderstanding of something written here. Because as Israelites, we got to realize now our what? Position has changed. We're in a land. Now we are what? Coming into knowledge. Knowledge has been increased. So with that knowledge, do I continue to follow after the ways of the heathens? Or should I be what? Enlighten you and try to get you to what? Come back to what was written. Observing what? Torah. Or the words of the Most High. Because at the end of the day, whether you Christian or Israelite or whatever you call yourself, is obedient to his word. And his word is Torah. And if he told us not to follow after the ways of the heathen or do these things, that's what? That's what we're commanded to do. Not do those things. We will never be able to get our people with the right mindset if we succumb to, okay, it says here, what? About their customs and acknowledging or keeping or not speaking against. You know you can't do that. If you see your people carried away with folly, it's your job to do what?
Correct.
To correct them.
You know, I think the main thing is this, is that the idea would be that as long as that custom is not doing anything against Torah, then we should be, then it's okay to do it. But if it has, whatever that custom is, like Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, if those things are against Torah, or whatever someone asks you to do, and if it's against Torah, then we cannot do it.
Right.
You see, like let's say you go to someone's house and it's ham. We can't eat ham. So their custom is to have ham on Thanksgiving. We can't eat it. They don't make a difference, you know, how they feel. Or if food is offered to idols. We can't eat it. You see? And so if it conflicts with Torah, you know, that's simple as that.
Yeah, no, just like Zacchaeus said earlier, Romans the 13th chapter, verses 1 through 7, that had nothing to do with pagan holidays.
Right.
Right.
It did.
People like to try to squeeze in any type of justification that they want to
Right.
justify to do whatever that they want to do. That had nothing
It had nothing
at
to do
all
with
to
it.
do with
Exactly.
none of those things there.
And then sometimes, like, we just got to come to the realization that these people are locked in. That's just like with us. We was there, you know, and if they are going to be enlightened, it's going to be Yahuah that's going to give the increase. So, I mean, that's why, with Paul, what he said in Revelation 22 and 11, it says, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still.
Right.
And he that is filthy, let him be unfilthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is set apart, let him be set apart still. And behold, 12, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according to his work shall be.
What were you reading?
Revelation 22 and 11 and 12. So the whole thing is that because all you're going to do is just get into a debate and all this, because they want to do what they want to do. And that's it. So if he's unrighteous, just leave him or whatever, because most likely if it's meant for this brother or sister, whoever it is, if he's going to be enlightened, somebody else will come and water down that seed that you planted and wait for the increase.
Right.
If it's meant to be.
Right.
If it's meant to be. So sometimes you just got to leave people in their zone.
It's good. It's good.
Right. And if you even go look up that, and this is what we're saying again, it's easy to read something in English and run away with it. Even when you go look up that word custom, it means to be, you're going to see it means to be paid as well.
Right.
So when we're looking at something, we automatically start from the beginning, you see it's talking about a tribute. They were all commanded to do these things. So when it said rendering custom, let me read it again. Render therefore all the dues, tributes, to whom tribute, and custom, whom custom, fear to whom fear. When you go eat custom, it's still going back to a form of payment or to be paid or paid.
Right, because that was a custom. That you
Right.
had to pay the tax. So,
Not so much acknowledging rendering them a holiday. So if they want to celebrate Christmas, I have to honor that and not speak upon it or speak about it.
right.
We're going to get some dressing one way or another. One way or another, aren't we?
Go ahead and make your own turkey and dress on another day.
Hey, what's the day after Thanksgiving?
Black Friday?
So we're gonna give payment. I mean, that would be an increase in taxes. So that's a way for them to gather all family together on their real location. Everybody got to the store and pay it, in that holiday sense. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that just fleecing the people right
You
now.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but
So will it still be permitted to participate under the guise of whatever is that in Romans? We just still celebrate in that sense?
I mean, it's still a part of that celebration of one of those customs, but like we're saying here, and then you can look at it as a form of paying tribute, because let me tell you something, we're still under a Greco-Roman society, so they're going to get their tribute, they're going to get their money in every way they can. And guess who they normally target? Us. Their whole thing is targeted at us. And who do you see clowning on Black Friday these days?
Yep.
Who do you see on the news fighting?
And that's what I was just getting ready to bring out also, because this this Black Friday, just like what the scriptures say, that you have to be circumspect, you know what I'm saying, in dealing with what you're dealing with, because when you go to these places like Black Friday or whatever, you know what I'm saying, in these stores, people are bum rushing things, man. It's fighting and all of this type of things like that.
People are dying.
You gotta use wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You have to be using wisdom. So, it's the outsiders that's the ones that's really not set apart. That the ones that's partaking in these things, and us as the set apart ones, we just gotta use wisdom. And
That's why I wake up Cyber Monday. No.
Oh my gosh.
Any more questions about turning the hand about seeing more?
No question.
Oh,
Yeah, in Leviticus 25:23.
Leviticus 25:23.
Yeah. So collectively as a congregation, how are we looking at it? It says, the land should not be sold forever, for the land is mine, and you are strangers and sojourners. So we see that the word stranger and sojourners was also interchangeable, meaning now that the father is actually the sole proprietor, owner of the land. And here Israel is, we have the words, the Psalms number 84:53, Tushab, and we have the word strangers here as ger. And then when you go to the 25th verse, if thy brother be waxed poor and have sold away
Simply being, because remember, my thing is, look at where they are. Because at this time, Israel has not been scattered. They're coming out of Mizraim, so they're coming into a land of their own. So we automatically know what Israel's position is. So let me go back and read that right quick.
Yeah, because what I'm trying to share is, just want some understanding here.
Okay, so, okay. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine.
It's the fathers.
Is the Father's, okay then. For ye are strangers and sojourners with me.
Right. So those are Israelites, is that
Right.
Right.
So before,
I don't see that.
Okay, we have here now, who's the owner
Right.
of the land that's actually being given to, it's been given to somebody as an inheritance.
It's being given.
Right, so we have to, so who is actually the landowner?
Yahuah.
Right, and so what's happening now is that, and then it uses the word, you, it says, for the land